the irony is that if you stand in front of a room of parents, done this from tens of thousands of stakeholders at different presentations, or in educators included, if you ask folks, and we talked about it earlier, what is the purpose? Why do we have our kids compete? What do we want them to learn through this experience? If you ask them that in a crowd, they will say, well, we like the intangible benefits. Kayleen brought it up earlier in her, the intangible things that they learn. Accountability, leadership, teamwork, all those things, those are important. The athlete's mental health, we want them to belong to something bigger so they can grow. But there's this weird dichotomy because when we get out into the competitive environment, all of a sudden you're like, where does that go? Where does that, that whole idea of why we want our kids to be in there, and you get in the car ride home, and it's all about how the child competed and these pressures centered around competition and how successful they're being relative to either what that scoreboard says or back to what Coach said, how do we define our success? So you've got to, this comes back to, again, and this is a message for coaches, I think if there's one huge takeaway when we start talking about how do we support our kids' mental health and well-being is to really make sure you do the internal work of why you are there as a coach. And I don't care if that's at any level. If you're at the youngest Little League coaching the Mustangs or you're coaching the most elite golfers in the country, you are there as an influencer, again, as in that platform, you doing the internal work to say, why am I here? And it's amazing when you coach to a bigger purpose than just helping that kid learn how to throw, catch, or run, or have the perfect swing in a crucial moment as an elite player. You've done the work to go, I know why I'm here. So coaches that are doing that same work, parents that are asking themselves, why is my kid here to compete? If that coach has done that work and they say, I'm coaching to a bigger purpose, then it's easier for us to create those environments where we can be vulnerable, where we can talk about feelings, where we can talk about emotions, how we can learn to deal with success and failure in a positive environment. And it's not just about coaching the physical skills relative to the sport. And that comes back to our why.